Hey, welcome to Mineral Talks Live, the weekly live webinar that brings you in-depth and in-person interviews with the mineral people from around the world. Mineral Talks Live is brought to you by a joint effort among the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, and BlueCap Productions. Tune in every Wednesday and stay connected to your mineral world. Now, broadcasting live from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, the land of aloha, ukuleles, and shakas, this is Mineral Talks Live. We'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mineral Talks Live, the weekly mineral talk show broadcasting to you live every Wednesday. I'm Brian Swoboda, president of BlueCap Productions, and today's show is about as international a show as you can possibly have. For those of you who are tuning in to our program for the first time, Mineral Talks Live is a weekly webinar put on by myself representing BlueCap Productions, Dr. Raquel Alonso Perez representing the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, and Dr. Eloise Gaillou representing the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, also known as the SMMP. Today, I'm broadcasting to you live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Raquel is broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts. Eloise is broadcasting from Paris, France. And our guest of the day is broadcasting from Pune, India. So wherever you, our loyal viewers, are in the world, you're now plugged into a truly global network here. One of the advantages of being part of an extensive network is the ability to communicate with different people from different cultures. So to that end, we'd like to make our program as interactive as possible for you. So let me quickly describe how you can participate in the show. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of buttons. There's one labeled chat and another labeled Q&A. The chat feature allows you to type messages to everyone watching and participating in the show. When you first sign on, go ahead and fire off a chat message introducing yourself and telling us where you're tuning in from, and let's see how many cities we can hit today. Now, during our interview, our guest and I will be focused on our conversation and not really looking at the chat window. However, both Raquel and Eloise will be very active in those chats, so look for their comments along with everyone else's. At times, either Raquel or Eloise may interject during the interview with questions that you're asking so we can get an immediate answer from our guest while they're still on the topic. So don't be shy in speaking or typing up. The second way to interact is with the Q&A function. This allows you to submit general questions that we'll try to answer at the end of the interview. So if your question is about things we're immediately discussing, go ahead and fire off a Q&A question, and we'll try our best to get to them at the end of the show. Finally, at about 40 minutes into the program, you may see a window pop up on your screen asking a bunch of questions for our weekly poll. This is just a bit of fun where you can try to predict how our guest is going to answer these 5 questions I'll ask. It's a bit of fun and you'll get to know our guest a little bit better. And also, you may be able to win a prize, which we'll tell you about later in the show. So with all that said, let's turn our attention onto a dealer that so many of you know, Mr. Sami Makki from Matrix, India. Hello, Sami. How are you doing today, buddy?
Hi, Brian. Doing good. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic. Now, you are coming to us straight from Pune, India, where it's pretty late in the evening right now, right?
Yeah, it's about 10:30 p.m.
Well, wonderful.
Here in Pune, and it's not too late.
It's okay. Great. Well, thank you for staying up late and hanging out with us. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are in terms of India for the people who may not be familiar with the different cities there?
Okay, so we are streaming right now from my hometown, which is Pune, which is in the state of Maharashtra, which is midwestern part of India. Basically, we are about 100 miles from Mumbai, which is the financial capital of India. So we're right in the middle there.
Right on. Okay. Well, now, Sami, you exhibit at a lot of the shows. We see you at Tucson, Denver, Munich, St. Marie, and even in Tucson, you have a few different locations there. And you always have exceptional minerals from India. But you're not only a dealer, you go out and you source the minerals also, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Brian.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the whole process?
Miner as such. Yes, sure. Yeah. So I was saying that I'm a third generation miner. My grandpa started this and my dad continued it, and now I'm continuing it further. So that's how it is. We are not just dealers, but miners and dealers of minerals.
Well, now that's really interesting because there are a lot of us, myself included, who are second generation in the mineral world. You are third generation. There are a lot fewer of us that are third generation. Off the top of my head, I can think of maybe the Costner family, Brian Costner and Brett Costner being a third or even fourth generation in the mineral world.
Yes.
But that's rather rare. What about fourth generation? What about your kids?
I don't know. I call myself 3G, but now is the time for 5G, but I think 4G will be good. So the fourth generation should be good.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the locations in India that where you find these fantastic minerals. And we have some videos. If you want us to play that, just let me know when you want to share those.
Okay, great. So right now, as most of the viewers know, that we are in an area known as the Deccan Plateau, which is also known as the Deccan Traps, which is basically trap rock, volcanic rock, which was formed around 65 million years ago. And when it was formed, what it also produced in it was beautiful zeolites. Now everybody knows that zeolites are almost found everywhere in the world, but the difference of zeolites from India are that they are gigantic in size. I mean, you have large crystals and very colorful material, and there's a lot of it. So our quest is always for the best specimens and the best minerals. So that's what we do. And there are several localities in India which produce zeolites as such. Pune is the one that put the name of Indian zeolites on the global map from a mine that my dad ran between 1970 to 1990, which produced world-class green apophyllite and mesolite right here in Pashan, Pune.
Oh, fantastic. And so a lot of these are dug out of water wells, if I'm not mistaken.
As well. As well, yes. Most of the minerals that were found in the yesteryears came from dedicated quarries that were being run for producing black basalt, and the minerals were just a byproduct, like all of the places all around the world. But here in Pashan, my dad was quarrying specifically for the green apophyllite, which was something rare at the time, and he didn't care less about the basalt that was coming out of there. So mostly, most of the quarries and the excavations that are happening for the mother rock, which is basalt, which is used in a variety of places, such as making of roads and building constructions, etc., etc.
Now, do you guys have people at all these different construction sites that are always looking for minerals, or is it such that your reputation is that whenever like a mineral pocket is found, you guys are the first one that the people call?
So Brian, like I said, that being third generation comes with its own benefits and advantages. Is that people know about us a lot, and they know that we are experts in mining minerals and removing the specimens out nicely, and also that we give them top price for it. So we are the first ones that they call, and we get to have first choice over anything that's found in this area.
Great. So in India, in Pune especially, the people on the street are chanting, "Who are you going to call?" And instead of Ghostbusters, it's Matrix India.
Sami Makki. Okay, Matrix.
Who are you going to call? Sami Makki. Sami,
Yeah.
you've sent us a bunch of
So
videos of the process that you've been describing. Why don't we go ahead and take a look
yes,
at some of those, and maybe you can narrate
sure,
what we're looking at? Okay. Well,
sure.
there's the good-looking Sami right there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is a video of me in a building construction pocket. What they're doing is that uh, I'm sorry, this is actually one in the for the highway expansion project. So they're expanding highways around our city, and we found a pocket there of mesolite, and there you can see my people are just mucking the pocket and getting ready. That's what we found. Those are very fine needled mesolites. And this was a pocket in the upper layer, which means that there were a lot of mud veins going through, and you can see that the work is in full swing. Quite a lot of excavators are working, and here you can see we are right in the middle of the city, Brian. And here there's another pocket that we mined on the other side of that bridge, and below you could see the car zooming because this is a major highway link, and they are basically broadening and expanding the shoulders of that highway, and that's where we found a lot of cavities. And in fact, this is an ongoing project, and we are mining there pretty much every day.
That is
So this is almost
fantastic.
rush hour time in Pune, and the traffic is building up, and we are, here everybody, average Joe, is going to work, and here we are mining for the most amazing mesolites ever.
Well, this is great because I think it really shows people that if it wasn't for you, their job is to expand this highway. So if it wasn't for you, all these minerals would be destroyed. But you kind of come in probably after
Absolutely.
hours and you save these things
No, no,
from
no, no,
destruction.
no, no. It's not. Nothing is. Brian, one thing I'd like to emphasize is that all of our work is government certified. We have the permissions and royalties and all the legalities sorted out. We are also proud holders of a particular mineral license that you get. There are just 4 issued so far in India, and we are one of the ones who have this license that gives us rights to prospect and also extract mineral specimens.
Right. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply that you guys were doing anything illicit. I know that you're doing
Yeah.
everything by the books. I'm just saying after hours because I was thinking if they find something, they have to continue their work and they don't always have time to stop and have you extract. But it might be that if they find a pocket, then they leave it and then move the work just a little bit further down
Yes,
so that
that's
you
how
can
they do.
extract that. But understood. I've known this the whole time that you guys are 100%
Yeah.
legit and above the board.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for putting a stamp on that.
BlueCap approved. All right, let's take a
Yeah.
look at another video here. This is a shorter one, and I think this is a one of you in
Mhm.
a pocket.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just see that. Yeah. So here, this is a green apophyllite cavity, and this was found while they were digging the foundations of a large building complex. So here I'm inside the pocket looking outside, and these foundation pits, they are huge. They are as big as mini quarries, and we find these amazing minerals there. And if we weren't extracting them in the right way, they would all be lost. So I take great pride in doing what I do, and of course the perks of being in the mineral business come along with that.
And here you are saying, hey, another pocket, right?
uh, you froze me.
All right, let's go to the next video here.
Okay. So this is a continuation of that same video. You can see that the green apophyllite is on the roof of the cavity, and the base is white hulendite, micro hulendite, along with stilbite. Now that's what brings out the contrast. The green on the white really makes it stand out and quite appealing. And this is all the material that I have mined after Tucson, basically. So during the lockdown times, whenever we were allowed to go out and do what we do, so that's where I was most of the times, being
Well, that's really
socially
refreshing news. I was
distant.
going to
And
ask you how the COVID was affecting you, but it sounds like you guys are still able to do that safely and still able to operate, which means there is
yes,
more info or more content still coming out by you guys.
yeah.
Okay, let's check out the
So
next video here.
so far we've been doing good here. Mhm.
Got a little audio here. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's how the pockets look when you find them.
Those That's how the
Oh,
pockets look. They are so this is a fine mesolite pocket. very stellar and clear material that we found again a few months back. And the pockets, in this area, they range from a few inches right up to a few meters in the state of Maharashtra. That's how they that's how they are here. And most of the times, we are lucky enough to have space to actually get them out completely intact. But a lot of times, there is very low tolerance in the cavities as well. So it's a tough job, but it's good.
It's amazing that you're able to bring those pieces out of a location like that and to the different mineral shows around the world with minimal breakage.
Yes.
I mean, really, hats off to you guys.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, let's take a look at the next video here. And what are we
Mhm.
looking at here?
I just chiseled a piece out. I'm gonna get it out for you.
Oh, careful.
There's no. Okay, yeah. Now we have the video. Okay, so like I was talking about the low tolerance. So here's a video of low tolerance cavity, but this guy is just sitting on here. An amazing piece. I mean, two by two mesolite sprays, and the one that I just plucked out was actually fallen from the top of the cavity.
Look at that. And those are the great pieces that we see on display everywhere. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next video. I'm not quite sure what we're looking at. Okay, go ahead and describe this, Sami.
Video of Metallite from Pune, which I am currently mining.
Did we lose Sami? Is he still there?
In this cavity, visible here is some Calenite along with some.
We might have lost Sami. Hopefully we'll get him.
We still have Sami, but we don't hear him anymore. Sami?
White still by.
Okay, so we lost audio on Sami, but you can actually see how tight this is. I mean, this cavity is only 4 finger widths high, and he's doing a shaka there to show his excitement and show how cool this is. So absolutely
we lost
fantastic.
Sami.
Okay, so Sami dropped out, so we're still gonna watch this video for a little bit, and the real trick is getting those pieces without doing any additional damage. It's amazing how they grow and they fill that space there, and they're so delicate. And bringing those out with such tight tolerances is not an easy job. You have to almost slide those out directly towards you, just because you don't have the vertical tolerance to move it around a little bit. So not an easy job. And you can see Sami, he's sweating there because a little piece of damage on anything like that can certainly bring down the value of any of the pieces. So extremely rare. So when you see these at the shows, when you see these in Sami's booth and Matrix India booth, I think this really helps to get a better appreciation for the process of digging these out. So not only finding them and them, the construction people reporting this to Matrix India, and then having the people from Matrix India come over to extract these. And I believe Sami does the major portion of the extraction of the really fine pieces. And so his crew will kind of clear the area out so that the face is a little bit more open to him. And then because of the fragility of these pieces, he will get in there with his little hand tools and pull these pieces out one by one. And then it's transporting them back to his headquarters, doing a little cleanup there, and then somehow packing these things and bringing them to the international shows, which is, it's not an easy feat, especially when you think that these things aren't hand carried for the most part. They have to be packed carefully and then shipped to the different shows. So it's really a lot of work. And right now we're looking at a big piece in Sami's warehouse there. And I think we have Sami back. I heard a little noise. There he is.
Yeah,
so that's what they refer to as a thumbnail, correct?
That, yes. In Indian language, this is the thumbnail, Brian. Shall I ship 100 thumbnails to you?
Yeah, send it to the Keiki Mineral Club. I'm sure all the kids would love that. The thing will be any of these minerals that you can fit in your pocket, you can take home, and I'm sure it will be quite safe.
Yeah, that's great. So Brian,
what is that? Tell us about that piece that you're standing next to.
Right. So it's a plate of tabular apophyllite on stilbite. So this is from Nasik. So Nasik is also a well-known location in Maharashtra. It produces very colorful minerals. It is famous for the red fluorite that comes from Mahodari, as well as some of the golden yellow fluorites. So those are the natural fluorides that that come from Nasik, and so Nasik produces some very good materials. Also close to Nasik, you find powelites, which are also found close to Nasik. And so this plate is from Nasik, and this is about 400 kilos. So it's about an 800-pound, roughly, plate of apophyllite and stilbite. It's a giant plate. So
Now, Sami,
that's
on
how
a
it
plate
is.
that big, do you bring anything like that to the shows, or how do you move that? Do you send pictures out? I mean, it seems completely unwieldy. It's an incredible
Yeah.
piece. Don't get me
So the
wrong.
so the thing about these large specimens is that China was a very big market for us in regards to these large specimens, and now we all know that that is sort of history for the moment. And we do get a few of them to Tucson. There are some people who like to buy such large pieces, which we commonly refer to as decorative pieces in the mineral community. So it's referred to as a decorator piece.
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, one of your locales in Tucson is the Mineral City Show, which is nice because
Yes,
you can ship it there, and at the end of the show season, you don't have to pack up everything like you do at the main show or at some of the hotel shows.
yes,
You can leave it there and come back to it next year if you need to, or whenever. I mean, you have 365-day a
yeah,
year access to it. What are
yeah,
we looking at
true.
there, Sami?
So this is a geode. So this is a complete geode. It's a cavity, and the face of the geode has been opened up, similar to the large geodes that you see from Brazil and Uruguay.
Right.
So these are complete apophyllite and stilbite. This is a complete apophyllite and stilbite cavity as such, and they are also a big hit amongst people who like to collect big things, and who have the motto "bigger the better." So that's what
Sami,
it
can
is.
you
And
bring the
like I
camera a
said,
little
it's
closer so that we can see the inside of the geode
sure,
there?
sure. I'm going to do a flyby inside the geode,
This is the Mackey drone.
and in the Mackey drone. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to make the user's experience going inside a geode there.
So for people, just what's happening with the Sami's camera is his signal is kind of weak. That's why we don't see him full screen, and that's why it's the camera stops sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, so
So let
Sami,
me
we
try
can hear you
fixing that.
fine, but our video seems to be okay. There we go. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Is
It
that
got
better?
dark for me. Oh, there we go.
Is that better?
We can see an image, but it's not moving at this point.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
just the
Yes.
Wi-Fi
So
or the 4G. You're only in 4G and not 5G.
4G,
That's going to
the
be what it is.
4G, we don't have 5G yet.
Tell your
Okay,
kids to hurry up and
let
make
me
the
just try
5G.
and okay. Okay, so I just switched connections. Hopefully this one is better.
Oh yeah,
So
that
here,
looks
moving
better.
on, we have a yeah. So we have a large decorative piece, a huge calcite crystal
Wow.
out there, and then another one. These are backlit, of course, because we are shooting in night time, and I just thought that it would kind of bring out the beauty. So this is honey yellow calcite from India. So this
Yeah,
is
let's
also
get
a
in close on that
large
calcite.
piece.
Yeah, we'd love to see the details of that.
Yeah, that's a huge piece. There, both my hands on that crystal and this particularly large crystal.
Now, the
So
large one
Brian,
on the top
yeah,
looks
go
to
ahead.
be translucent, but the one on the bottom looks a little bit more transparent.
Yes, that's true. So this section here, that's the transparent calcite,
Okay.
and the one on top is the translucent part.
But
And
then
it's
the
again on
calcite
matrix, so
below
it's a
it
large
seems
piece.
more transparent.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's true. The calcite below it is much more transparent.
that's great. Wow.
So this is about an 8-inch by an 8-inch crystal of calcite, and the one on top is almost 10 to 11 inches. So Brian, I'm going to move on here and show you the stuff that we mined in 2017. So a lot of guys know about this pocket that we hit when they were digging a water well, and it was a pristine cavity of scolecite on stilbite. So these are some large plates from that pocket that I have.
Wow. It's like a bunch of snowballs.
And then again here. Yeah, snowballs, exactly. That's what everyone called them. They called them snowballs perched on stilbite. And what made this pocket, or what made this scolecite different from the others, is that it had great contrast when it had when the balls were perched on stilbite matrix, like you can see here.
Great.
And then we are
Yeah,
going
I
to
think that'd be
quickly
great for Christmas in my
jump.
museum. Putting a little Christmas tree with those snowballs on, that would be perfect.
So do you hear that, Sammy? If you need to donate any of those,
So this is
we've got someplace.
Sure. So this is mesolite from Pune again. So you can see that a lot of people at shows ask me the questions that what is the difference between a mesolite and a natrolite and a scolecite. They all look the same, but actually they're pretty much different, as you can see.
How can you tell
here.
the difference?
So they all, well, the mesolites, they all of course belong to the natrolite family. The family name is natrolite, and then below that we have mesolite, scolecite, and natrolite itself. So basically, the scolecite, when you look at the terminations of the scolecite, they are most of the time they are fibrous. If you really zoom into there, you can see that they are fibrous terminations, whereas natrolite and mesolite, they have square cut terminations, and that's what gives them more shine. And it also gives them a sort of an optical illusion that you can see to the core of the crystal. You can see right inside the ball in mesolite specimens.
Now, Sammy, there's a famous picture of your father kneeling behind a huge snowball. Is that a scolecite or a
Yes.
mesolite?
That is a scolecite.
That's a scolecite. Okay.
Yes, that is a scolecite. It was a large snowball on matrix, and yeah, it was a fun specimen. So Brian, I'm going to quickly jump to this section here. So so that's the outcome after the preparation work, which was trimming and basically soft cleaning, and that's how they've come out.
Now, who decides whether or not that's going to be broken up into two specimens or kept as one specimen?
That's me, Brian.
So you're the big kahuna.
The big kahuna, yes.
And what Sammy was telling me as well is that he has everything to prepare the minerals on site in his warehouse. He can trim, he can clean everything. Sammy, can you tell us more about the tools that you have to use that to prepare the specimen?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that bothers a lot of collectors and buyers is that a lot of specimens from India are actually when you look at the matrix, they look like things that came out of a machine. They're very fine cut, and they have fine edges, which some collectors really don't like, because they like to have a rough look to their specimens, wherein you can see the jagged edges, just like how it came out of the ground.
Sammy, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We might have lost our audience. I got booted out of my connection there. Can we have anybody in the chat room fire off a message if you can hear me? Just to say
people can hear us. We have 193 people who are watching and hearing and watching, so it's fine. Yes, lots of messages.
Yes.
All right. Sorry for the interruption. Please continue.
No worries, no worries. Going ahead with that. So basically, most of the material in India is usually just cut on hand saws or machine saws. But what I like to do is roughen my specimens and make the matrix as natural as possible, just like how it was in the pocket. And that's what my customers like too. So that's what I do. So here is a specimen that I trimmed myself. It's a nice
This
bunch of green
meeting is being
apophyllite flowers
recorded.
here, accompanied with a still bite. And it's a great contrast with the green on white.
So that's really cool that you have from mining to preparing to selling, and you go
Yes,
from really
yes,
India
yes.
all around the world. That's really cool.
Yeah. This is another specimen, one of my favorites. It's a nice array of crystals of green
Mhm.
apophyllite, and they are pointed green apophyllite crystals. We have a bunch here, and we have some scattered on the matrix as well. So this is an extremely aesthetic piece, and it's 10 on 10 as far as all the crystals go. There's no damage at all, and this is one of my favorite pieces.
That's great. And when did
Yeah,
that come out?
this came out in the month of March, right before the
March of this
lockdown
year.
started.
Wow.
March of this year, March of 2020. Pretty much everything that I'm showing you, most of it is all mined this year. So Brian, this is a specimen from the video that you saw of one of the cavities that I was excavating. So the brown color is sort of it is crept into the crystals, and because these crystals are so fine, I cannot do any kind of aggressive cleaning on them, and I hate using chemicals on any of my minerals. So this is the result that I got after I cleaned up those mesolites, and personally, I think they look great.
So now, how do you clean that? Do you just gently dip it in water and let it drain off?
Yeah, well, what's done is that the first thing is that it has a lot of debris on it.
Mhm.
Now, if you direct a jet of water towards these crystals, you're going to end up destroying these crystals, and also the debris is going to go deeper inside those crystals there. So
Right.
what we do is that we turn the specimen upside down, hold it nicely, and then tap it in the water so that it removes the debris, and then we go from there.
Is that when the hair tends to go a little bit gray during that process?
Yeah, this is also one of my favorites, Brian. I mean, I love the aesthetics on this specimen. So it's a scolecite ball, and the way that it's perched on this heulandite matrix, it looks as if it's a sun rising over a mountain peak.
Oh yeah.
So this is a one of my favorite specimens as well. So you can tell that I have a lot of favorites so far.
They're like children.
This is another pocket I mined not this year, but a few years back, and this was also in a building construction find wherein they called us, and we went and excavated the pocket. So these are very fine mesolite balls, and they're the size. They're slightly larger than a golf ball. For the viewers, you can see my giant hands and fingers here, but they're slightly larger than a golf ball, and they're perfect all around. I mean, 360 degrees, there's no damage, and these balls were on matrix. So I had these specimens at the Mineral City show this Tucson, and I did well with those.
Now, Sammy, your clientele, does it tend to be more American, more European, or a pretty even mix of everybody?
Brian, I do about 7 shows a year, or at least that's what my schedule was before COVID. And I used to do 2 shows in Japan, 2 in China, the Saint Mary show, Munich, and then the usual circuit of Denver and Tucson.
Mhm.
So majorly my clients are in the US. The topmost collectors are of course in the US, but there are also quite a few in Europe and in Asia as well.
Great.
So
So there's
that's
a
where
global
most of
demand
the
for the
collectors are.
specimens
Yes.
that you're bringing out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And because they are self-mined, and I document all the I document all the finds, people like to buy things from me.
And you never have to worry about repairs or restorations because you just don't do that, correct?
Brian, your sound is completely off now.
My sound is off. My sound is off.
Brian is in space.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me now?
Sami, I believe it's coming from you.
Okay, is it coming from me? Hold on, let me just try that. How about now?
No, it's the same. Brian, can you just say something to see?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Brian
No.
is the
Am I
worst.
coming through?
Can you just block your sound or your mic for a few seconds to see if that comes from you?
Much better. So Brian is actually coming from you.
Yeah.
Eloise, you
Okay,
can
is
carry
that any
on.
better?
Yes, it's better.
Yes, okay, you got it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Sorry about that,
That's fine.
everyone. We're having all kinds of technical issues on this show, but at least we're communicating.
Oh yeah. We're trying. We're living through the situation. Okay.
Right. So, Sami, my last question was asking you about repairs or restorations.
Yes. Could you please repeat that question, Brian? I sort of lost you there.
Sure. My question was, with your pieces, do you ever have to repair them or restore them before you bring them to market, or is all of your pieces or most of your pieces unrepaired? Did we lose Sami?
Yeah, Brian, can you hear me? Yeah. No, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I heard a part of the question.
Did you hear my
but
question?
I heard a part of it, but I'll emphasize on that topic. So, Brian, with repairs, the thing is that most of the stuff I mine, uh, firstly, I make it a point to get it out intact. So all my efforts go into getting specimens and crystals out intact, and I try to absolutely minimize any kind of damage to the specimen, and I go to great lengths to it. And I might be working on a pocket for hours or even days, trying to reach that one fine specimen that the pocket has, or several of them. So I personally do not repair or restore too much. Uh, I leave it to the customer to, that's his choice if they would like to do it. And for me, if anything, something is broken, it's pretty much broken, and that's it. So I like to keep it natural and original.
Sure. Fair enough. Good. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question.
Yes.
People are wondering, I have several questions asking the same thing. How do you pack your minerals to actually ship them all around the world and they arrive intact? How do you do that?
So what we do is basically we use very fine. I mean, for the scolecite, let me come back to the scolecites again. The scolecites and mesolites. The truth of the matter is that we cannot ship a single specimen to anyone. So that's one of my points that I'm lagging behind, is that I cannot ship a mesolite or a fine needled scolecite to someone, because as long as it's in my it's my custody and the way I'm packaging it, it's fine, but I cannot guarantee what happens later. So what we usually do when we do sell specimens of this type is that we take an extended delivery period, and these specimens are shipped to the next nearest show. So if it's going to be something in Asia, I'd go to China, or to a show in Japan, or to the US or Europe. And that's how it goes on a pallet. So, the chances of a pallet going upside down are much less than a small package being tossed around. So most of my delicate specimens are shipped that way. And mostly what I use here is very fine laundry. So these are extremely fine, silky laundry bags which are used, and these do not, they have absolutely no weight. So these do not damage the scolecites or the fibrous lights in any way. So I just create a nest out of these, and I can demonstrate it to you with a specimen here. If you could just come.
And those are the dry cleaning
So if
bags
we
that
have,
we're familiar with.
yeah, exactly. But this is an even finer version. This is an even finer version of those. So what
Okay.
we do is basically grab the specimen that way and just go around it and make a nest just like that without actually covering the top. And then we what we do is that we put it in a box, and basically the packing material is on the sides and not on top. So that's how it saves
Mm.
all the points and the tips from breaking and from damage. The other way that we use is that we cut styrofoam and we cut it to the size of the specimen and exactly make a sort of a hand cut model where the specimen sits in the styrofoam, and the customs and everybody can see from the top that it's a natural specimen, and they don't have the urge to open it and touch it. So that's how it survives.
Oh, I think they have the urge to touch it, but probably the discretion not to. Let's go ahead and launch the poll because we're getting kind of close to the end of our show. So, Sami, once we launch the poll, you can just go ahead and continue your tour of your warehouse there.
Sure.
What are
Sami,
we
go
looking at there,
ahead.
Sami?
Sami, you need to close the poll. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Brian. So next up, I would like to show you some of my own specimens that I like to collect or are in my collection, or a small collection as such.
This is your personal collection.
This is my personal collection, yes. So come on in.
We're losing signal, but I think you confirmed that this is your personal collection.
We'll start.
Oh, this is the worst tease ever. Oh my gosh.
Yes, so I think we entered a room that is not really well deserved in Wi-Fi. Okay, yes, and that was Sami's personal collection. Yes, confirmed.
Yes. All right. So Brian, this you're looking at a piece from the Himalayas. It's a single cathedral crystal that I mined in 2017. So in 2017, in the Himalayas, in the lower Himalayas, they found a pocket which produced some very high quality and clarity quartz. And I went up there and I mined there with the miners as well, and traded and bought with them. And this is one of my treasured pieces from that find.
Now, Sami, we've seen some of the quartz from the Himalayas that you've had at the Mineral City show in Tucson, but this is exceptional. I've never seen anything like this. This is fantastic.
Yes, Brian. This is the first time that actually I'm showing this to anyone. I haven't shown this piece to any of my friends. So this is the first time that it's going online. And this specimen is about 20 inches, and it's a single that popped off a large plate. And of course, we were mining at about 11,000 feet above sea level, and it was extremely difficult to get that plate down. And since it had broken, so I grabbed the best crystal that was on the plate, and it's a perfect one. And I just saved it and brought it back.
That is exceptional. I would
Thank
love
you,
to
Brian.
see that in person someday. I got to come visit you.
Most welcome. You know the offer is still on.
Okay.
So these are some more pieces from that find. The specimens had a lot of chloride inclusions. Let me just bring that closer to the camera there. So they had a lot of chloride inclusions and anatase as well on top. So this material, when I took it to Munich, a lot of the guys who were the crystalliers who were mining the alpine material, they were not too happy because they thought just like zeolite, there's going to be
a ton of quartz coming from India, but that's not the case. This material, I mean, this kind of material with this kind of clarity is rare, and it's difficult to come by.
Well, the Munich show is always well known for having a very, very wonderful alpine quartz exhibit every year, and they have a whole section in one of the halls dedicated to the quartz miners out of Europe there. And so for India to start producing stuff like that, I can imagine their reaction. But I mean, absolutely wonderful pieces. They call them the Strahlers in Germany and the Cristalliers in France, I believe.
Yes. So this is another specimen from the green apophyllite find. This was actually the first piece that I got out of the cavity there when I started working, and it's an exceptional specimen, and it stands tall at about roughly about 30 inches, and the complete crystal is perfect, and this is a nice piece that I like.
Those are fantastic.
Moving on, Brian. So these are some specimens from the disco ball find. So disco ball find is the ones that which made headlines back in the year 2001, when me and my dad, we found a pocket in a water well with these flat terminated green apophyllites, and they were known worldwide as disco balls. So these are a few specimens from the original disco ball find. So you can see that the specimens are flat terminated, and they're not actually pyramid points. And so this was a great cavity, which
Those are
also
great.
debuted.
And I
in Munich in
apologize for not
2001.
having any Bee Gees songs queued up to play as you showed those.
Yes, so Brian. So this is another specimen of scolecite on stilbite from the water well that we mined. So I think we are getting saturated with the lights. I'm going to tone down the light a little bit there, and it's a complete ball on stilbite. So this is in my personal collection as well.
Sami, do you name your personal specimens?
You know what? No, actually not.
Okay. I think
So
Eloise is recommending that one be known as Fuzzy.
Fuzzy. My dad's pet name is Fussy, Fasi, but yeah, this is Fuzzy.
So then we have a double meaning here. I love it.
Yeah. So this is also one of my favorites from that pocket, because it's got two stilbite bow ties intertwined, and then you have a scolecite spray as well. So, and the shine on these is just fantastic.
That's great piece.
Okay, moving on, Brian. A few more pieces of the fibrous mesolites that we mined. So this is how they turned out after the cleaning process, and I'm going to shed some light on this specimen so you can see how well it actually lights up. So there you go. This is some soft light.
Man, just looking at it makes me worried that I'm going to break a piece off.
Okay. So moving
Next
on,
to ice,
Brian,
that has to be probably the most fragile mineral specimen in the world.
No. We have more fragile ones like the mordanite, the fibrous mordanite.
Of course.
So Brian, this is my second favorite quartz specimen that I own. It's a bunch of crystals. I'm going to pick up this specimen for you to see with some more light on it. So there you go. So this is great size, and this is a complete crystal. It has chloride, it has anatase, and it also has golden rutile in it. So this is also one of my favorite quartz specimens.
That's superb.
And you can see
what
the
a treat
clarity.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just water clear.
Yes, sir. So, any any discussion or talk about minerals from India will be incomplete without talking about Cavities. So Cavities, like everybody knows, that it's calcium vanadium silicate, and that's how the name is derived, Cavities. And this particular specimen is in my collection, and I'm proud to have it because this is the first mineral in India to be featured on a postal first day cover stamp. So that
No
happened
kidding.
a few years back. Yeah. So that's the first time
So
India
was
that
it
they
that
ever
mineral
published.
or that particular specimen that was featured?
This particular specimen and my photograph of the specimen was used for that postal stamp in India, for the
I
postal
love it.
cover.
That is such a great story, Sami.
Yes. And Brian, right next to it is also Pentagonite. A lot of viewers would like to see this. This is almost a 2-inch upright standing needle of Pentagonite. So this is found in the same quarries, and the quarries are just about 20 kilometers from my house. And there used to be a dozen quarries operating about a couple of decades back, and now they are down to just one quarry, which is producing intermittently. So a lot of people ask me this question, that is Cavities going to be rare? So my answer to them is that if you come across some good specimens, I would suggest you to go for them from your favorite dealers, because yes, Cavities is going to be rare soon.
Sami, you bring up an interesting point. With all the construction going on, you have access to all these new finds and these new pockets. How is the future of India going? I mean, do you see a lot more construction projects in the future, so there's potential access to a lot more minerals, or is that construction phase starting to wind down, in which case these things are going to become more and more rare?
To tell you the truth, Brian, that India, we were on an upswing, and the COVID situation, like worldwide, has set a lot of countries behind. But I'm confident about the mining situation in India, because there are a lot of big infra projects happening, and a lot of highway expansion about coming into the big league. So there's a lot of things happening in and around India, and not just in my state. Just a few days back, the Prime Minister inaugurated one of the highest and longest tunnels in the world in the Himalayas. And so that was also a great achievement for India.
Wow. Well, we've seen a lot of great stuff come out of the Himalayas on the French side and on the Switzerland side when they've made the tunnels. So hopefully we'll see a lot of really fascinating stuff come out of India with the construction of that tunnel.
Yes. Brian, that construction is complete, but unfortunately they use the TBMs, the tunnel boring machines. So not a lot of material is left after those tunnel boring machines go through those digging those tunnels.
Gotcha. Okay, Sami, we're coming to the end of the show. Do you have any other things that you want to share with us real quickly there?
Well, Brian, that's pretty much it. That sums up the show. This is another specimen from the flat terminated find, which is in my collection. It's a sort of a bow tie, flat terminated green apophyllite. And this was from the same locality, from the disco ball locality. We mined it over a span of say 10 years, different spots, and that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Well, Sami, now's the point where we're going to do the 5 questions. I got 5 random questions I'm going to ask you, and you have to answer them quickly without spending much time thinking. But before we go to the questions, I want to share with our viewers the prize that they can get. So it's available to one person, and let me show the specimen. So this is the piece, and maybe you can talk a little bit as we're watching this.
Yes, Brian. So this is the first piece that I cleaned from the mesolite find, from the fibrous mesolite find, and that's what it came out. And I would like to give this as a giveaway to the person who wins the quiz or the contest.
So, all of you watching at home, I think I got your attention now. All right. So, let's go to the 5 questions. Hopefully, everybody has answered the poll and the poll is closed. Sami, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Okay. All right. Question number 1, motorbike or 4-wheel drive vehicle?
Motorbike.
Motorbike. All right. Question number 2, the best Bond, Daniel Craig or Sean Connery?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars, always. No.
Rugby or American football?
Okay, rugby, I guess, not American football.
And the final question, cabin in the mountains or cottage by the sea?
Cabin in the mountains, always.
Cabin in the mountains. Fantastic. Okay. So we have our answers. Raquel or Eloise, can you read off the answers to the quiz as we go down, or the poll, how people answered?
Sure, I guess. I'm ready.
Okay. That's Eloise. Thank you. Okay. So, oh, yeah, great shot. So, answer to question number 1, motorbike or 4-wheel drive?
It looks like people didn't know Sami, because if you know Sami a bit, you have to know that he loved his dirt bike. So people answered wrong for 4-wheel drive. Wrong.
I'm sorry, I don't have my sound machine hooked up. I think that might have been causing the audio problems. Okay, let's see. Number 2, Daniel Craig or Sean Connery?
People answered Sean Connery, of course, but that was not Sami's answer.
Sami, none of your answers are wrong, okay? It's the audience trying to guess what you would have said, so don't worry about it. All right, number 3, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. Okay, yes, that's a good one.
Bing, bing. Number 4, rugby or American football?
And the answer is not American football, so people got it right. Rugby.
Okay, so we have 2 wrong and 2 right answers. This is going to be the tiebreaker, okay? Cabin in the mountains or cottage by the sea?
Cottage by the sea was the answer.
No.
Bam,
Sorry, guys.
bam. All right, well, viewers, sorry, you guys have lost. That specimen that we shared is now going to either the Harvard Museum or the Paris School of Mines. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Oh, God. Let me dream of it.
Actually, Sami
Okay,
has
so-
been always very kind, and every year he donates to many American museums. So we all appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hats
Thank
off
you,
to
Raquel.
Sami, and he's always been kind enough to give a nice bunch of specimens to the Keiki Mineral Club that I bring home and give to the kids here in Hawaii. So, Sami, you are a true gentleman. You are very, very generous, and thank you for everything that you do for the mineral world. Now,
Thank
for
you.
those of you who are watching and you really, really, really want that piece, here's what you have to do. Earlier in the show, I referenced a famous photograph of Sami's father kneeling behind a snowball. And I asked him, is that scolecite or mesylite? It's a scolecite, okay? And so you have to go right now, you have to go to Matrix India's Facebook page or Instagram page, and you have to find that photograph. And in that photograph, there is a message. The first one to email what that message is to us here at mineraltalkslive.com. The first one to message us, email us the correct message, you will win that specimen. So I'm sure all of you are frantically on your websites right now, on your web browsers right now, not paying attention to the show, but that's what's happening. So do that right away, and you get to win that specimen. Thank you to Sami for donating that. A couple final announcements. Tomorrow, tune in because we are going to be releasing our interview with the lads from the Collector's Edge. That's going to go live on BlueCap's YouTube channel. So if you missed that show, you're going to definitely want to check that out. Also, tune in next week at this time. We have Dr. Terry Wallace, who's the director emeritus at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, which is the home of the atom bomb. Terry Wallace is going to be joining us on our show next week. So from all of us here at Mineral Talks Live, we want to thank you for joining us today, and especially a great big thank you to Sami Makki for joining us and spending the afternoon with us. Sami, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Do we still
Nice
have
to be
Sami?
here.
Okay, great. And then I want to see if there are any Q&As, any questions that the audience has for Sami. Raquel, Eloise, anything?
Raquel, do you want to go through the questions? I know that we answered a lot of them, but there are a few questions unanswered.
Yeah, Sami, do you have a few minutes to stay with us?
Yes, please. Yes, absolutely.
So we have someone interested in power lights. Do you have anything to show us?
Unfortunately, I did not line up any power lights today, but yes, I do have power lights, a lot of them that come around from Nasik area. But unfortunately, today I do not have something lined up.
And what about, how many varieties of theolites have you found so far?
Wow, that's a tough one. Well, there are several varieties, but I would like to list out the rare ones, which are like Yugavaralite, Babingtonite, Julgoldite, and also Punalite. So there is a specimen named as Punalite as well. So those are the top 4 rare ones that we have come across. And I'm sorry, of course, copper in apophyllite and copper in scolecite as well.
Okay, good. And in terms of the sizes, what are the biggest one that you have ever come across?
In terms of the pieces, you mean to say?
Yes.
Of the rare ones?
In
the
general,
rare ones are
from the family.
From the family, yes. Some of the largest pieces, actually, how we would term it is the largest cavities. So there was one cavity that me and my dad worked upon in 2008, which was a green apophyllite cavity in a well. So we were 120 feet below the ground, and the cavity started off small, but that kept expanding. And when we started, it was just about enough to crawl into, but as we kept going inside, it was as big as you could drive a truck into it. So that went about 100 feet. So that I would say was probably the largest cavity that we have worked upon.
We have a question about the color in the apophyllite, which is due to vanadium. And Stefan wants to know if there is a higher content in the Mumbai Pune area and the green, because the crystals are greener. Is that something you think that might be the case?
Yes, I would definitely think that that is the case, because even when you look at Clavenside, I mean, you definitely need a very high vanadium content to bring out that electric blue color. And even in the mines and the quarries that we work on, we see a lot of blue vanadium tint on some of the basalts as well, indicating that there is a high vanadium content in this area.
So can you distinguish the apophyllites between areas depending on the color?
Yeah, absolutely. Pune is known to produce some of the deepest the deep green apophyllites, as well as other localities as Ahmednagar and Aurangabad, usually where the wells are. They also produce deep green color. So there are certain areas well known in our state which produce deep green color apophyllite, and the place where I am, Pashan in Pune, is definitely one of those.
We have kind of a joke from John Ada saying, do you promise to not dye your specimens with a specific type of blue dye? Is that something that it can be done?
Or? So reference to the blue hemimorphites.
I see.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That was a big thing. But no, the thing about apophilites is that you have cleavages in the crystals, and if you ever try to penetrate any kind of dye into these crystals, the dye would penetrate into the cleavage planes, which would make them look weird. And anybody who has seen a real rock would can easily identify and distinguish something done with the apophyllite.
Very
Well,
good.
Sami, if you change your mind on that, just use a color other than blue.
Okay, I'll try to focus on green.
We have a question from Evan. Why is Clavenside more popular than Pentagonite?
Well, because it's been mined for a longer time, and in fact, that's a good question because right about till the year 2004, there were just a few known specimens of Pentagonite which came out, and it was considered a super rare mineral. But in 2004, we worked on a cavity which produced hundreds of Pentagonite specimens, and we brought these to the Saint Mary show when we used to have a booth in the theater. So me and my dad, we brought probably the largest number of Pentagonite specimens known to the mineral market. And the other reason for that could also be is that Pentagonite is also very fragile. You definitely cannot touch it, whereas Cavities is slightly more robust than Pentagonite.
Very good. One more question from Douglas. Are those calcite all acid washed?
Yes, they are acid washed, that's for sure, because like I mentioned before, that these are decorator pieces, not actually collector's specimens. So just to bring out the beauty, this particular specimen has been acid washed.
And another question from Jekta. What is the white coating that lines the cavities?
The white coating that lines the cavities is most of the time it's microhulendite, which is also a zeolite, which you can see in a specimen here. That right on the edge of the matrix, you have the white coating, and then you have the mineral that grows. So it's basically a lot of times it is hulendite or stilbite, and when you see the green coating, it's a lot of time it's celadonite.
Very good. Eloise, any question that I'm missing?
No, I think you got them all, and I see that people are answering like crazy to the questions. So we will go through our emails and find the first person who got the right answer, and we're gonna get back to you on that. So, but thanks for playing, everybody, and I think I don't know. We don't know if we have a right answer yet or who's the winner, but stay tuned.
Hey, Sami, I've got one more question I'm seeing on the Q&A. Apparently, there was a book written by Bert Ottens on Indian minerals, and Shields Flynn is asking whether or not there is a newer book on Indian minerals that would be available to people.
As far as my knowledge goes, the last book that was published on Indian minerals was the issue, the India special issue by the Mineralogical Record, which has a comprehensive, detailed information on Indian zeolites. Bert has done a lot of work in the academic field of zeolites from India, and as far as my knowledge goes, I don't think there is a new book planned unless my father decides to write one.
And when did that MinRec issue come out? Do you remember?
I think it was 2 years back, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, so it should be pretty readily available today.
Yes.
All right. Then if that is all the questions, I think we're going to bring the show to a close. We're about an hour and 15 minutes. So I want to, Sami, again, I want to thank you and everyone there at Matrix India for taking time out and doing such a great job in presenting everything to us.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Sami. Thank you for taking the time to make this beautiful show place from your warehouse. Thank you so much again, and to stay up late. It's late. Go. It's time to go to bed for you. Thank you, and thank you to all of your viewers. See you soon.
Thank you, Alois. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you again to everybody watching. Thank you again to Sami. Remember, tune in next week for our interview with Terry Wallace. And if you are free on Friday, check out the BlueCap Productions Instagram and Facebook page, and we will be announcing more information on our Mineral News Now program. So from all of us here at Mineral Talks Live, mahalo, aloha, have a great day. Bye.